Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. My name is Caroline Silk, and we are on day 4 of the missing piece, the Weight Loss Accelerator Challenge. And I am super excited that you are here back with me. I hope that you have taken the time to listen to day 1, day 2, and day 3. So let's just quickly recap where we've been and where we are going. So the progression this week has been day 1. We talked about the missing piece. I wanted you to understand and really have it land by the end of day 1 that you were not failing, okay? Everything that you've done up until now has been done within a framework and a mindset that has given you the results that you currently have. But as a result of understanding what the missing piece is and realizing that the foundation really needs to be in place from an internal point of view before anything really changes. And when I say changes, it changes permanently for good, that it's sustainable change. On day 2, we did a deep dive into how your body isn't broken. It's not failing you all the time. What it's doing is responding to the stresses in your life, plus a whole lot of other things. But we concentrated specifically on stress and how often people imagine stress to be these big buckets of stress, of family stress and financial stress and whatever. But it's all the everyday little stresses, all the thoughts that you are thinking in your head constantly throughout your day, that monkey mind chatter, that mind junk, as I like to call it. That is your body responding to stress. And as it's constantly responding, it's going to keep you in a very primal state of security and protection and safety. And weight loss is not on the agenda of that body. So that's why we need to regulate ourselves at the internal level again. See the theme here? So that change can happen and weight loss, more importantly, weight loss can happen. And on day 3, we uncovered that motivation doesn't come from willpower. It comes from alignment. Okay, so it's really important that you don't beat yourself up about the fact that you think that you don't have any willpower, that I don't have any motivation. That is not the case. We need to ensure that you are aligned so that we can create that momentum so that change happens. So today, what I want to do is talk about something practical. But before I go any deeper, I want to ask you something. Would it be okay if at the end of today's session, I share what this looked like when implemented properly inside a very structured process? Because habits, everything I've talked about on day 1, 2, and 3, only stick, only stay when the internal foundation has been reset. And I want to show you what that looks like beyond this week. So would it be okay if I did that? Brilliant. Okay, let's continue with today's lesson. So I want you to imagine this scenario. A woman decides, this time I'm going to be consistent. And, this woman might be you. And guess what? This woman has been me when I have decided that whatever project it might be, that I am going to be consistent, that I am going to make this happen. I'm sure it's very familiar for all of you. Now, the thing is, even though we're saying it in our head, in our conscious mind, and we build the plan, we make the commitment, we feel that determination, we feel that excitement around doing something, and for a couple of weeks, it works. Then what happens? Life happens. Stress increases. Your energy dips. Life gets super busy. Something emotional can happen. You might be sent one of those wonderful curveballs that life tends to send to us. And suddenly, all your good intentions, all your new habits that you've been putting in place absolutely collapse. Sounding familiar? And you end up saying to yourself, well, I knew that wasn't going to work. Or here I go, I failed again. Or it's too hard. And you say all of these things inside your head. But what's actually happening is what we're doing is we're trying to build foundations and build these new habits on an unhealed foundation. And habits that we try and lay in on top from the conscious level cannot override subconscious patterns. And they will always collapse back into what feels familiar. And that's why I change habits with my clients at the subconscious level. So let me just briefly give you a definition of a habit in my mind. It's usually made up of a three part. We always have what we call a trigger. And the trigger might be a time of day. It might be, for example, in the afternoon or after dinner. Let's talk about food. Let's just go for the after dinner example. So your dinner's done, house is settled. You go, oh, I'm on the couch. And you might be in for a bit of a Netflix binge or something, whatever it might be. And you sit down on the couch, and then all of a sudden, that is the trigger, because it's happened at the end of the day at the same time, for your mind, your subconscious mind to go, boom, oh, I think it's time for something sweet. I think it's time to put my hand in the cookie jar or the ice cream jar or the chocolate jar, whatever it might be. And you then you have what we call the behavior. So the trigger or the cue, and then that results in the behavior. And that's you actually physically going up and getting it and then bringing it back to the couch. And then we have the reward, which is and you enjoy what you are having. Now, there's a whole lot of other elements to that, which we won't go into today, but you could end up beating yourself up after you've had the reward because you think, what did I do that for? And even though your executive mind said, don't do it, because the habit lives in the subconscious mind, just like how you learn to drive a car. Like, think about it. When you first learned to drive a car, you're white knuckling and you're just like this. Now we hop into the car, we don't even think about it. We can drive for an hour and a half to our other destination, and we're listening to a podcast and we're just on boom, because that habit now lives successfully in the subconscious mind. That's where our habits live. So even though you might not want to do it from an executive mind point of view, your body goes, this is what I do, until we change the habits at that level. Does that make sense? So when you're trying to implement a habit from your level, from the conscious mind executive level, it makes it more difficult to stay because it's not changed at the foundation. And this is a truth. And the most programs sort of never say to you, this is how you do it. Yes, there are ways when 69 days to change a habit, and you do it, implement it for each day. But inevitably, if life happens like I just described it, and things come flying at you and curveballs and emotional stress and all that sort of thing, the body will go back to that old habit with ease, despite you feeling incredibly frustrated about it. So I want you to know that we can't build sustainable habits on top of sort of these unresolved foundations. If part of you wants to feel confident, to lose weight, to trust yourself, but another part of you believes, I always fail, it's too hard, I can't maintain weight loss, I'm not consistent, that internal conflict is going to eventually win. Because the habits don't override the identity. We need to have the identity in place. Identity drives habits. Is that making sense? So the nervous system layer, let's say, if it doesn't feel safe, then it's not going to allow change to happen. Change happens in the subconscious mind when the nervous system feels safe. So if it's feeling threatened, it's unlikely that any habit's going to be locked into place. So what happens is when it's feeling threatened, and that can just be that low level of stress that I was talking about on day 3, your system's going to resist, it's going to delay it, it's going to forget, and then you're going to lose motivation. And again, it's not because you lack the discipline or the desire, it's because your system This is really important you understand this. Your system defaults to what it knows. That is protection. That is safety. Frustrating, I get it. But that's how the body works and the mind. So let's look at where you're at. With these habits, we start strong and then we're, all gung ho about it. And then all of a sudden something happens and we lose momentum and then we restart again. And then we question our consistency and then we fall off the wagon again or we fall off track again. That's where you could be. And I completely understand that because that is exactly where my clients are before they work with me, obviously. And where you want to be is calmly consistent, not having these swings and roundabouts and roller coasters, not thinking about food all day, and really, really trusting yourself so that you can live without restarting. And the difference between these two places is not more effort. It's not trying harder. It's not pushing yourself, in that sort of battle mentality. It is underneath it all a foundational rewiring. And I really need you to understand that that cannot be achieved through just surface level changes. It needs to be done at the foundation. And it's almost like you can't, even though you feel like you could, this is sort of not a do-it-yourself layer. We can change behaviors temporarily on our own, but changing subconscious identity patterns, changing habits at the foundation, interrupting these protection mechanisms and rebuilding that sort of nervous system safely, that really requires guided work because we can't see our own blind spots. And I've said that before. We have our lens on. Everyone has their own unique lens on from which they see their world, and no two lenses are exactly the same. But as a result of this lens, we have blind spots that we can't see. And we think we can, but we can't. And that's why it requires guided work. We can't override a protection pattern that we don't recognize. And it's interesting when I'm working with my clients, it's like they say something and I just, a little spark goes off in my mind and goes, oh, there's a belief that they're holding on to about themselves, a negative belief, a limiting belief, one that is preventing them moving forward in a way that they want to. But because it's become so much part of their everyday language, because it's become so much part of them, they don't realize that this is a belief that is driving their behavior from the subconscious level. And that's exactly why so many of my intelligent, beautiful clients say to me, I know what to do, but I still can't do it. Because knowledge, all the knowledge that you have and they have, lives in the conscious mind, but the patterns of behavior live way deeper in that subconscious mind. So before I show you what this looks like in practice, I want you to hear from someone who has walked through this process with me. Now, this is going to be a very interesting experience for me because I'm going to try and be technical. And technology and I have this ridiculous relationship where often it doesn't work. So we're going to give it a go. And if all else fails, I'll come back to screen, I'll come back to camera and I'll just keep talking. So let's try with sharing my screen. One participant, multiple participant. Okay, just share. So the viewing platform is speaker and I want to share my screen. Okay, Caroline, share. Okay, there we go. Now this is what I want to share is this one. So there it is. Okay, let's see if this works. Now, this testimonial with Helen, as you can see, is, or you might not be able to see, is approximately 20 minutes long. So what I will do is I will put the full testimonial into today's email. However, I just want to share this part with you of just a couple of minutes about someone's experience working with me. Here we go. Let's hope it works. Fingers crossed. You think that whole prompting to take action was was it a combination of the lack of results and the way you were feeling, or was it the way you were feeling dominated, or how do you feel?
It was just accumulating that invisible load. I just had been feeling so ordinary for so long, and the weight had crept up. I put on over 10 kilos in 8 years. Menopause, yada yada yada. Elderly parents. I lost my dad a year ago. Just looking after everybody else and making excuses. Everyone else is more important than me. It was just too hard in my mind to think about doing something for myself. And from what I'd seen of your program,
Yeah.
I knew enough that it was all about my mindset. I'm a smart lady. I know what I should be doing. Yeah. So it just got to a point where I thought I can't keep going on like this. And I thought I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to do something for myself.
So on that, did you have any sort of fears or worries before you committed to the program?
I don't think I did, because I know I really didn't. I just thought, you are the person to help me. I know I've been on so many diets, ways of eating. I wrote them down, like Michelle Bruges, Maxine's, Weight Watchers about 4 times, Light and Easy, Isogenics, Noom, Metabolic Precision, keto programs with personal trainers. I thought, well, I know what to do. There's a Bermuda Triangle in my mind. That negative self-talk was just getting stronger and stronger. And the more you perpetuate the failures of these other diets, you just feel like you are truly hopeless.
Yeah, which you are absolutely not. But as you said, as you listed off all those programs, they're all the various diets that you went on, you would have had some success at the time, but inevitably that success sort of slowly dissipates and you might end up back where you were, or sometimes back with actually more kilos on them when you started in the first place.
That's it. Correct.
Exactly. So what did you like most about the Mindset Intensive program?
It just reconfigured my thinking, and it was so easy. I don't know what you did. It was magic. It's call magical. It was just so easy. I used to, prior to the Mindset Intensive, come home and have no control around food. Couldn't say no, couldn't pass up a chocolate or a chip, and I just found it so easy. I didn't go and binge in the pantry. I don't participate in morning teas. And if I do have a little bit of morning tea, it's tiny. It's a taste. It's not 3 serves. It totally changed the way I eat. I listen to my body. It's just changed everything for me.
So there you go. That was the beautiful Helen. She worked with me one-to-one, and she dropped 10 kilos, which is probably just over 20 pounds, 22 pounds, I think. So that was super successful. And look, I have this relationship with my clients where we still remain in contact, and she is still in her happy place today, which is absolutely fabulous. So you can see that from where Helen was and from where you might be, that this whole element of overload, as she said, in her head, and all the diets that she tried. And then as a result of the Mindset Intensive, she finally gets to the point where that mind chatter and that mind junk has been released from her mind, and she is feeling amazing, and she's feeling light, and she's in what I call her happy place. And it's at this point that and that's the difference with this program and what I do with my clients. I honestly do not know of any other program out there that works really, truly one-to-one at this very deep level. And I'm super excited at this point to introduce to you what I call the Launchpad Collective. And this is my new immersive group program as opposed to my one-to-one programs. And it's intentionally structured in two phases because, as I know, because you are a smart, intelligent woman, you are now aware that we need to do the foundational, deep mindset work first. Okay, so that is actually phase one. It's what we call the private mindset launchpad. And before you even enter the group container, we work, you and I, privately together for 5 deep one-to-one sessions. And this is where we look at those identity, subconscious beliefs, the limiting beliefs that I was talking about. This is where we look at the negative emotions that you might be holding on to, often unknowingly. You know, the body will send you off a negative emotion because it doesn't want to hold on to it any longer. But women are very good at shoving it down into the black bag and saying, I'll deal with that later. Holding on to negative emotions is not healthy for the body. So we deal with them. Okay. This is where we rebuild the internal safety and we create that identity in which you are going to move forward. So essentially, what we are doing is we are resetting your relationship with yourself. This is the foundational work that we do one-to-one. Without it, I believe, you do not get sustainable results long term. With it, everything stabilizes. And then in phase 2 of the program, it's what I call the 12-week integration accelerator. So this is what happens where you come in and that private foundation of you is set and you'll move into the group. And this is where we implement specifically the nutrition code. And this is where we implement sort of nervous system regulation tools and habits. And we have weekly coaching and integration, and we have community accountability, which is super important. Okay. You will be in a very small, intimate container. And this is not about random group coaching. It's structured transformation layered on top of your new aligned identity. And then the beautiful thing is, what I'm going to do is this is, as I said, it's 12-week integration program, but then I'm going to invite you to stay into the group for another 3 months where we get this extended integration. So you have this extended access for further stabilization, maintenance mode, as we like to call it, because this isn't about a quick fix. This isn't come in, come out. This is where the transformation holds. Now, again, I'm going to try and do something fabulous and share my screen and see if we can just get this up for you. Share. No, that's Helen. Bye-bye, Helen. Let's move Helen on. There we go. This is where we're at. So it is the Launchpad Collective. It's an immersive weight loss experience for women ready to stop starting again. So now, why doesn't it move on? This is the interesting thing. Oh, the joys, the joys, the joys. Hang on. Let me see here. Caroline, this is how we do it. Yes, well, that's not going to work, is it? Oh, it worked. So let's talk about what is in the immersive weight loss experience. I just have my notes here because I don't want to miss it. So what we're going to do is we are having the, as I said, the 5 private one-to-one mindset launchpad sessions, and that is where we do the deep mindset work. Okay. And that is one-on-one. because it is a intimate, I believe that it is not something you can do in a collective space. It's private, it's intimate, it's you. It's all about you. It's not about anyone else in the room, okay? And it's about your experience and your history and your foundational level. And that's why it's super important to do it one to one. And then, as I said, we're going to move into the 12-week integration, which is going to be fabulous. And that's where we'll do the weekly group calls, and you will have a teaching each week, and we have conversations each week. These calls could go for 60, for 90 minutes. It will depend. There'll be recordings of all these calls, so you'll be fully supported. If you can't make a particular call, you can send your questions in, and I will be there to help you. As part of that, as I said, the nervous system, that regulated foundation, is always, always important, and we ensure that that framework is in place for you at all times. The nutrition code, super important to know what you are eating, the real food you're eating, how you're eating, when you're eating, and why you're eating. Now, that obviously covers emotional eating. That obviously covers binge eating. We go through all the things that might be going on in your world to ensure that you have the method to move forward and make it happen. Then the lifestyle upgrade, sleep, stress, alcohol, exercise, all of these things are crucial to your weight loss. As you now know, if you're in a state of stress, weight loss isn't going to happen. If you are not sleeping well, your hormones are going to go into disarray and cause stress, and weight loss isn't going to happen. There are so many parts of this orchestra that need to be in alignment. And if one section of the orchestra is out of whack, the rest of the orchestra sounds shocking. And that is what's going on with weight loss. We need to ensure all of you has that upgrade so that all of you is in alignment. And that is super, super important. And then there's going to be more trainings, more vaults, there's going to be community support. And of course, as I said, there's going to be that 12-week extended integration so that you have everything there and we can make this your norm. Now, this is over $6,000 in value. When you work with me one-to-one, you're paying for 3 months only, you're paying much more than that. Okay. And for this Launchpad Collective, it is 2,997 Australian dollars for that full 6-month support. 6-month support. Slow down, Caroline. Now, because this is a new immersive program, now what I want to make clear to you is that when I work one-to-one, I'm doing exactly the same work, okay? But what I'm doing is I'm pulling this into this program, so I'm being able to make it more available to so many more beautiful women. And because this is the first program, I want to create some founding member bonuses. And bonus one is what I call the Future Self Strategy session. And this is again a one-to-one session where we really hone in on who you want to be, what your life wants to look like, how you want to live your life, what your body, and we create this image and visualization of you, and we secure it into your subconscious mind so that you can just close your eyes and see that person, and that helps you and guides you to this new version of you, and it allows you to act as if you are that person from right now. It's a very, very powerful session. Bonus number 2 is what I call the maintenance identity blueprint. Like, what happens when you finish the program? And that's what happens often in many programs, is you just get to the end of the road and then you just fall off the cliff. I want you to have your own toolbox of how you move forward, just available to you so that you just have easy access. And if you ever feel like you need to just come back and reset, refresh, then that is there for you. And bonus number 3, which I'm super excited about, is that I will give the extended upgrade in terms of the extended access, not for 3 months, but for 6 months. So that you are in the community support group for 6 months. So that is a total of 9 months in all. Now, obviously, I'm not going to keep you there if you don't want to be there, but you can, you can come back in. If you're in maintenance mode, you can come back in once a month. You can come back in every 2 weeks, and you can just get that support and whatever you need to really ensure that you have the continued success and that weight loss just remains your norm and that you get to your happy place. And in your happy place, I call it somewhere where you just live. So, for example, let's just say it's 70 kilos or 120 pounds. You hover around 70 kilos, 120 pounds. You might go up one or two, you might go down one or two. That is where you live. It's not like you go up 10 and suddenly you've got to drop 10 again. You find a place which is comfortable for you and your body, and it doesn't necessarily have to be guided by a number. Okay, it might be how you feel. So many times I've had clients who say, Caroline, I want to drop 15 kilos because they had that number in their mind of where they were. So, for example, they were 85 kilos and wanted to get to 70, but they got to 73 or 74 and they went, you know what? I feel great here. I feel really good in my body. This feels like a place where I want to be. So it wasn't about the number, it was about how they felt in their body. Make sense? So this ensures that you know how to live in your happy place moving forward. Super, super exciting. So if you know this is your next step, what I'd like you to do is send me either a Facebook DM or you can email me at info@carolinesilk, or you can just hit one of your emails that you've been receiving as a result of the challenge and just say you'd like to have some more information. And I will send you a document with all of the information and we can talk about your next step, which is super, super exciting. Because the Launchpad Collective is all about a mindset that supports you, okay, at the foundational level. Super important. And I know you know that now. It's all about this being your lifestyle moving forward. This is not a diet. I don't do diets. They do not work. You've heard me say that 1,000 times. This is a lifestyle. I walk my talk. This is how I eat. This is how I live my life, how I want my clients to live their life. Because when you get out of that diet mentality and this just becomes your norm, mindful eating becomes your norm, real food becomes your norm, these habits become your norm, then that becomes, and underpinned by that, this identity, that becomes your new lifestyle. It isn't a diet. Super powerful. And what this does, it's allowing you to take back your control around all of you. You have those areas of your life where you have the success, but this one area is being elusive and has eluded you. And all of a sudden, everything is back so that you have all of you exactly where you want, in a healthy body, with a healthy mindset, and feeling absolutely fabulous. So I'm super excited about the Launchpad Collective, an immersive weight loss experience for women ready to stop starting again. Super, super powerful. And I look forward to you reaching out and having this conversation. And I will just make myself larger because I've gone all small on the screen. And we can go from there. So that is that. And as I said, if you want to think about it, please don't hesitate to reach out and I will send you the full information of it. And just know that when you do this work at the foundational level, then it's absolutely going to change you for the better. And the bonuses I'm giving you, this is not about stacking bonuses to pressure you. This is about recognizing the women who choose to sort of stop circling and start building because these founding bonuses are limited. And this is a small group. As I said, intimacy matters to me importantly. So this container is going to stay small because the depth that we need is going to require this space. So if you have felt the alignment this week, if something has clicked, if you're tired of restarting again and again, and let's start again on Monday, this is the bridge that you need to walk over. And you don't have to decide this second, but I would like you to decide whether you're going to continue to trying to do this alone and think about that. How's that working out for you? Or let's walk over the bridge. And so when you're ready, I will share with you all the information and how to enroll, which is super exciting. So tomorrow is day 4. I'm going to walk you through the full transformation journey, what it looks like. And again, I want you to know that the habits that you put in place are not the problem because they're not sticking. It's the foundation underneath that remains the problem through all of this. And once this foundation is rebuilt, everything is going to become lighter. Everything is going to become easier. You are going to change. And it was interesting. I was listening to this podcast yesterday and it was talking about change, surprise, surprise, and mindset, surprise, surprise. And when it was referring to, it was a neuroscientist, when this work is done at this foundational level, and yes, we are doing it because you want to drop your unwanted weight, but what happens is this work affects all of you. So it will show up positively in other areas of life. How super cool is that? Like at work, or in your career, or in your coaching, or in your relationships with people. I had a client at the moment, I have a client at the moment who is on various boards. And she said, Caroline, I am just walking into these board meetings with so much more confidence. She's not second guessing herself anymore because we've let go of so much of that mind junk. And that is super powerful and super exciting. So thank you for being with me today. I'm super excited to have presented to you the Launchpad Collective, my new immersive program. And I will look forward to seeing you on our final day tomorrow, the grand finale, day 5, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.